You are listening to the Stetson Students Podcast, where we post all of the series and messages from our student ministry. We are a ministry connected to Stetson Baptist Church, where we are for DeLand and for Jesus. If you would like to learn anything more about our ministries, please check out our social medias or go to stetsonbaptistchurch.org.
All right, my name's Joni. I'm 11th grade and I'm homeschooled, and I'm going to be reading the word for you guys today. Since then, we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God. Let us hold fast our confession, for we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace in the help of time to need. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Sweet. Well, hey, how are y'all doing tonight? Pretty good? Yeah? Good, great. Satisfied? What a word. Satisfactory. Even better. Well, cool, man. I'm so glad that you're with us today. If you've been with us, we've been walking through the book of Hebrews. You're picking up in week 3, but don't worry. I'm going to kind of help you understand where we have been and where we're going to be tonight. But if you would like to take notes, we would love to help you out with that. So we have some notebooks. If you'd like one, all you have to do is raise your hand in the air, and an adult leader will bring you a notebook and a pen so that you can take notes tonight. We would love for you to open up your Bibles to Hebrews 3 as well, if you have that. If you don't, great, we brought one for you as well. There should be one to in the seat, under your seat, on your seat, to the seat to the left, to the right. Feel free to grab that. Really, what we have seen as we've been walking through the book of Hebrews in week 1 and week 2, as we kind of started the book of Hebrews, we really talked about the theme throughout all of Hebrews, which is that Jesus is worthy. Jesus is worthy of everything we are, everything we have, and everything about us. He's worthy to direct us. And that's kind of where we went last week with talking about how we are all being influenced and we all desire to have influence. But ultimately, our ultimate influence needs to come from Jesus. Jesus needs to ultimately influence and have the ultimate influence in our lives. And from there, good things start to take place. And we're going to take a turn tonight. And really, I have one, it's toward you. I have one point for us tonight, and also a question for us to answer, for you to ponder and answer for yourself. But to get there, I kind of want to start by raise your hand if you would say, when you're watching a movie or reading a book or hearing a story, you cheer for the good guy or the hero. Raise your hand if you'd be like, that's me. All right. Whoa. Okay. I'm going to pray for everyone who isn't raising their hand right now. Okay. Yeah. Raise your hand if you cheer for the good guy or the hero. That's the right answer, by the way. Yeah, okay. If you don't, there's a separate conversation for us to have, and I don't have the time to go into it fully tonight. Hopefully you're just joking and trying to be funny. But no, I'm with you. Usually when I'm watching a movie or reading a book, which happens too rare, but I love to cheer for the heroes. And I think the hero of a story, there's always a hero, a protagonist, a main character, somebody you're cheering after. Movies really break my heart when that person loses, or when that the story ends and it doesn't end well for the person I've been cheering for the whole time. But usually this is why I tend to watch superhero movies, because that basically never happens. Like, it usually, I can always almost guarantee that the good guy is going to win. They just kind of set it up that way. And so I don't know if maybe you remember this movie that came out a few years ago. Can we throw it up there? It's kind of blurry, but do you know what this is? Yeah. It was a movie called Avengers Endgame. It's blurrier than I remember. My bad, guys. But if you can't tell, there's a whole army of like alien creatures on this side, and then there's one little bitty guy right here. And he's the protagonist. Like, he was the main character, and they look like they're about to lose, and he's basically standing solo versus the entirety of this army, and he was going to take them on. The story didn't end that way. If you've seen the movie, I won't ruin it for you, but it's so old. It's not really that old. It's not that old, but here's the thing. Here's the thing that I've learned, and I think this is a good image for us to see this, and I have some more images for us to see as well. But this one I really think stands out to my point. What makes a main character the main character, or a hero, is they become what's called an intercessor. Can you say that word? Intercessor. All right, great. It's a biblical word. It's a good word, but really I'm going to kind of dumb it down for us because I need it too sometimes. It just means to stand in the gap. When you think intercessor, just think somebody who stands in the gap. And a hero is an intercessor, or I'll use the word stand in the gapper. Like they stand in the gap between the evil and destruction. So evil is coming towards in aim of destruction, and then there's a guy who stands in the gap of saying, that's not going to take place. I'm standing in the gap between one thing and another. And that's really what he's doing. Like, this is the world they're trying to conquer. There's them, and then him standing in the gap. But there's another one that I really like, this movie. Anybody seen this movie? This is another really good one. I like this movie. Yeah. I am Batman, by the way. All the guys in the room. Hey, all I'm saying, you haven't seen Batman and me in the same place, all right? You've never seen us in the same place at once. That's all I'm saying. No, but if you've seen this movie, there's a part of the movie where don't say that. You got me laughing now. No, there's part of the movie where Batman kind of takes down the villain, one of the villains, and the guy, he was bad, and things happen where when Batman saved a family from this guy, he ends up dying. The other guy ends up dying. And it was this person had was like a political figure that was people needed, people loved, people thought he was the greatest guy. And he had the whole movie. He's having this villain arc turn of events, and then Batman looks at the guy he saved and says, "Tell everybody that that he was trying to save you from me, and I'm the bad guy, and he's the good guy." The guy that was the bad guy, I want him to be seen as the good guy. Why? Because he said the city needs hope. The city needs this person to be good. They don't need to know that this guy was bad, because if they learn that he turned bad, they're going to think everybody's bad. He was kind of this figure that he wanted to be looked at highly as. And so he stood in the gap there. He said, I want to protect my city. I want to protect the people around me, and I'm going to stand in the gap to make that possible. Does that make sense? Y'all see? Y'all see? There's real day heroes, and I call them moms and dads. All right, this is where you go. All right, old clap. Yeah. If you didn't clap or didn't make that noise, I have your parents' info. I will just tell them that if they got some more, you got. All right, there we go. Now we're getting a little bit more. No, but seriously, I don't know if usually what happens. I don't know. This is how I was raised. My mom and my dad, they were teammates. They were on the same team, but sometimes I would upset one of them more than the other. And usually, if you're probably in your head, that's usually one. Like, you usually have that parent that you're like, yeah, I tend to get on their nerves just a little bit more. Mine was my dad. We're very similar. And so I got in his, I could press his buttons a little bit too much. But I knew that if he had punished me, or they had come up with you're grounded, you can't have this, you can't do this, whatever. I knew that if I went to my mom and said, Mom, I'm really, really sorry for what I did, that usually the punishment would be a lot easier than if I maybe went to my dad. Anybody have that? Anybody else? Okay, you know that. That my mom in that moment was standing in the gap. She was standing in the gap between me and a harsher punishment. Not that I didn't deserve a harsher punishment, but I just knew, sometimes you know how to work the system. And that was the system I knew to work. I love both my parents. They're both great. But you see this idea of standing in the gap. And here's the thing. Here's the thing I need you to hear. When it comes to life, you are not the hero. I am not the hero. We are not the hero. What does that mean? That means often we are not the ones who are standing in the gap. We are the ones who are needing people to stand in the gap for us. Whether it's our parents, our teachers, our coaches, our friends, our bosses, our siblings, whatever it is, you can think of moments most likely in your life where you needed somebody to stand in the gap for you. It was something you couldn't obtain on your own. Maybe it was something you didn't want to do on your own. And somebody came and was the hero of the story and stood in the gap for you. Why am I saying this? Because it's not just true of life. There will be times in your life where you need somebody to stand in the gap, and that's great. I hope you have people that you know can do that. Actually, that's a really good way to look for a friend, is who's gonna be there and stand in the gap for me in the hard times, right? But even in our faith, we need somebody or people or something to stand in the gap. And this isn't new to us. You probably have heard this before, or maybe you haven't. But the truth is, this has been all throughout the Bible. It wasn't just true until Jesus, but even in the Old Testament, if you weren't here over the past 2 weeks, that's fine. But we have been talking about how Hebrews draws a lot from the Old Testament and actually helps us view the Old Testament through the lens of people who now have Jesus in their life. And this is one of those moments. In this part of the book that we're picking up, and we're going to see that they talk about what is this stand in the gap. And they had people that were standing in the gap. And it was really two things. One, it was called the high priest. And two, it was called sacrifice. So if you don't know this, in the Old Testament, there was what's called the temple. The temple was what was built by the people of God, where God would dwell, and they would kind of do their business of restoration between them and God, because they kept doing things wrong, and they needed a place where they could go and make what's called a sacrifice. And when you think sacrifice, I mean, it literally was. It was like nothing went in alive and then didn't come out dead. Whether it was an animal or burning of resources. Things that were put on sacrifice literally went in to be that, a sacrifice, to not come out on the other side. And so the high priests were the people who would perform the sacrifices. So in this stand in the gapness, the high priest was doing the actions, but the sacrifices were truly the thing that were standing in the gap. But in steps Jesus. And what does it say in verse 14? It says, since then, we have a great high priest. So we've just talked about how in the whole Old Testament, they were looking to these high priests to stand in the gap, but now Jesus is being named as the great high priest. I love the word great here because it's telling us something. You see, high priests were all throughout the Bible, but there was never one called the great high priest. Because Jesus wasn't just a normal high priest. He was the high priest to end all other high priests. He was the one to come that would never leave. It actually says that he then went and passed through the heavens. Jesus, the Son of God, passed through the heavens. Really, this is just the Bible telling us he is now with God. He's actually sitting at the the right hand of God, sitting there, helping and standing in the gap, even there, even now. What's really cool about that, and as I was thinking through this, any other time we see sacrifice and high priest, death is involved. I just told you that nobody goes and was the high priest and does sacrifices, and the sacrifice never comes out on the other side alive. But Jesus, being the great high priest, he did that exact thing. He went in as a sacrifice, and yes, death was involved, but he did not stay there because he rose, becoming the great high priest. Now, what is this? Is what the writer tells us to do that with that. So he says he's the great high priest, so the high priest to end all high priests. He's passed through the heavens. Jesus, the Son of God. So what should we do? Let us hold fast our confession. Let us hold fast our confession. Let me ask you this. Has anybody ever made a New Year's resolution? Yeah? Okay, great. Has anybody ever in here made a New Year's resolution and then didn't keep it? Okay, I love that more hands went up that than because you're like, I never really made a resolution because I didn't keep it. Do you know there's one word that separates somebody who has a New Year's resolution and keeps it, and somebody who has a New Year's resolution and doesn't keep it? There's one word. Do you know what that word is? Determination? Good. Huh? Fakers? Dang, you're like, yeah, they were faking it. Failure? I mean, that's true. These are good words. No, the word, it's kind of like determination. The word's perseverance. Oh, you're like, that's disappointing. The O is the most real thing, because you know what? We never like hearing about perseverance because we know what that entails. Perseverance means no matter what comes my way, no matter the hardships, no matter the struggles with it, I'm going to keep at the promise that I've made. I love it whenever I think of New Year's resolutions. I think the biggest one is probably working out. Like, that's the one you hear the most. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of, like, the gym memberships that take place on January 1st, but it's insane how many there are. And then the amount of them that are no longer there, right? If you're a person that goes to the gym, you probably have seen that spike the first week of January. And by the second week of January, it's a ghost town, right? But working out is exactly like that. There is need of perseverance, no matter the pain that comes with it, no matter the desire that is lacking, because I promise when there comes to something that we need to do that is good, desire is going to lack in sometimes. But perseverance, and that's exactly what he's saying here. He says, hold fast to your confession. That's literally him saying, no matter what, because Jesus is our high priest, because he stands in the gap for us, what is our calling? To persevere in our faith. That no matter what comes, I'm going to stay rooted in what I believe. No matter the struggles that come my way, I'm going to stay faithful to the one who has stayed faithful to us and to me and to you. It's a beautiful promise. It's a beautiful instruction. But here's what happens, and I think it's probably happened to some of you in this room. When you hear that, you go, Nate, that's great, but you don't know my struggle. You don't know my story, Nate. You don't know my life. You're asking me to persevere, but you don't know what's happening in my life right now. You don't know the struggles I'm going through. You don't know the people that I'm surrounding myself with that are not good, that are hurting me, that are sick, that struggles of the grades not going the way that I want, the sport not working the way that I want, the relationship that I'm having that I know is not good, but I keep wanting to be. You just don't know what my life is, and it's easy for you to say from the stage, I need to persevere in the faith, but it's hard when I don't feel like the faith is truly there, right? Maybe that's some of you, and if that's you, man, I hate what I'm about to tell you, because I'm about to bust the bubble. I'm about to remove the excuse that's there, and it's right here in verse 15. Because when we say something like, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, this is what the Bible answers us about Jesus. It says, for we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weakness. No, we have one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin. And what is the Bible saying to us? As we're looking to it, saying, you don't know me, you don't understand me, you don't get it. The Bible looks us square in the face and says, no. No, what you don't understand is that Jesus understands you. He understands why you respond the way you respond. He understands why you are the way you are. He understands what's going on in your life. He understands the struggles that come. He understands the weakness, the temptations, the failings, the thoughts, the actions, the words. But it even goes a step further. He doesn't just understand, he knows. He knows how you work. He knows how you were made. He knows the things that are happening in your life that are causing you to think the way that you think. I heard a pastor once say it this way. I've said it before too. There's two types of knowing things. There's knowing about them, and there's knowing them. And he usually uses the illustration of honey, and I think it's a good illustration. Man, there's knowing how honey is made, the compounds that come together, telling me the equation of all the things and the chemicals that are involved. And then there's knowing honey from tasting it, enjoying it, and being a fan of it. Those are two types of knowing something. Jesus doesn't just know about you, he knows the you. He knows the you that nobody else might know. He knows the you that you try to hide. He knows the you of how you feel, and he knows the shower thoughts, man. He knows those conversations that you have that never make the light of day, right? Not only that, not only does he understand you, not only does he know you, because sometimes that can either give us a lot of peace or it can give us a lot of anxiousness. Maybe it gives you a lot of peace, and if that's so, great, man, I'm so happy for you. But maybe it gives you a lot of anxiousness of, oh no, the one that I'm supposed to trust knows me. Yikes, I don't want anybody to know that me. But here's the best part. He doesn't just understand you. He doesn't just know you, but he did everything that he did for you. Everything that he did it for you. The coming down, leaving perfection, leaving holiness, leaving people literally praising him left and right, to come down to enter into a world of temptation and weakness and disgrace. to be tortured and mocked and spit at, and to ultimately be put to death in the most horrendous way that you can? He didn't do it for him. He did it for the you. The you that he understands, the you that he knows, the you that he loves, the you that he cares for. I told you I had a point and a question. I put everything that we've just shared into this point. If you're walking away with something, this is what I want you to walk away with. Jesus can stand in the gap for you because he stepped into your weakness, felt your struggles, and he walked out victorious. He felt everything that you have felt. He's experienced everything that you can. When you come to Jesus and say, Jesus, you didn't know this, he goes, I knew it more than you do right now. Because think about it this way, like when we experience a struggle, an anger, a temptation, ultimately a sin, sometimes the release that we get from doing that thing is doing it wrong. Sometimes getting a release from the struggles of this world is to ultimately fall into sin. It enters us into a different problem, but it gets us away from the problem that we had, right? Jesus never did that. He felt every struggle to its completion. He felt every struggle without ever deciding to take the selfish way out. Everything he went through for you, and he did it perfectly. It's a beautiful word, yet without sin. It's 3 words, but you can put hyphens there, right? Yet without sin. Jesus can stand in the gap for you because he went through everything you've been through and worse. Yet he walked out victorious. And I'm going to switch a word here. I'm not going to put it on the screen, but I love this. Jesus not only can stand in the gap for you, he wants to. He wants to stand in the gap for you and for me and for us. He's not sitting there in a chair going, well, oh, yeah, one day maybe. No, he's looking at you saying, come to me. I want to care for you. I want to love you. I want to treat you better than anybody ever has. I want to show you that the life I have for you is better than anything you've ever experienced. I want to stand in the gap for you. That's his plea to you. I told you I had a point and a question. My question really comes right here. It's not this question, it's a different one, but it's really the same. So what's our response then? If Jesus wants to stand in the gap for us, what is our response? I think about it this way. So I mentioned this last week, but I'll mention it again. Me and my wife, we just moved into a new house. We love it. It's awesome. I actually had a few of you guys come and help me move in. If you aren't part of that, you're welcome. I know that moving is not something that's fun, but I mean, it's been a great time kind of being in that house for about a week and a half. But as you can maybe think, or let me rephrase this as well. Maybe you don't know, I have a baby girl. She is just hitting 15 months, I believe is that's I should know that, right? But it's either 15 or 16 months. No, don't clap for that. I appreciate it, but we can't clap for everything. You know, it's 2 years maybe. 2 years maybe. We do have one on the way too. That's exciting. You can clap for that. No, what? Why am I telling you this? Yes, I'm serious, Jackson. Yes, I'm serious. You weren't here last week, man. That's why you got to be here. That's why you got to be here. No, why am I telling you this? Because as you can imagine, adjusting to a new house for me and my wife, who are adults, it's pretty easy. You know, there's a lot of fun. You know, there's a lot of tension that has to come of filling the house and buying things and all the boxes. Oh man, so many boxes. But for my child, for my baby girl, it's been a lot harder. Because she was born in that house, our previous house. And now her entire world is being shifted into something new, learning what is new home. And during the day, it's fine because she's around us, but the time that she really struggles is at night when we put her in a room and she's going to sleep. And mom and dad aren't there anymore. And we put her down and my wife is great. She really takes on primarily of that. And she's felt a lot of struggle with that over the change. But there was a time that I was up late, right? And I'm up late and I'm sitting on our couch and I hear the door open. And man, I'm going to cry. I can't cry, but I'm going to because it's my baby girl. And my baby girl, she's in tears. And I can't see down the hall because it's dark. It's we had all the lights out, but I can hear her footsteps. And I can hear her charging at me. And so I start to meet her halfway, and she just falls into my arms. And she just starts crying. But it was a crying of, I need somebody here for me. Why am I telling you this? Look at verse 16, how it ends. Let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in a time of need. Here's why I'm telling you this. Just like my baby girl, who in times of being scared, in times of not knowing what's going to happen, in times of the world around her is crushing in, finds the only person that she believes can give her comfort. That is how we need to be with Jesus. I love this word, confidently. Man, so many of us come to Jesus so timidly, of saying, Jesus, I've got things, but I don't know if you can take them. Or Jesus, I've got things, but before I come to you, I've got to clean them up. Man, can we just be like a child running to her father, knowing you are what I need? The world around me is pulling me away from you and away from you and away from you, and things are crushing in, whether it's grades, families, whatever it is. Jesus, I need you. Can I tell you, his response is never timid. His response is as mine to my baby girl, of running towards her too. When we come to Christ confidently saying, please stand in the gap for me, his response is never no. His response is, I've been waiting for you this whole time. Question is this: what's the gap Jesus needs to stand in for you? What's the gap in your life that you're saying, Jesus, I need to give this to you? Maybe it's how you handle your emotions. I think we don't talk about that enough. But in a time like you are, man, I think emotions can run wild, right? The fake conversations that we can have in our head are just diabolical sometimes. The stresses that we carry along with us, the things and the events that we play out in our head 100 times over till we just start growing gray hairs in high school. What does it look like for Jesus to stand in the gap saying, God, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to feel about this, but I know that you can teach me how. I'm giving it to you. And maybe it's a relationship. Maybe there's a relationship, whether a friendship or a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship, or I don't know what this is relationship. But we know it's not good. We know it's not working the way that it's supposed to. And we know that because it's a lot like what the world is telling us it's supposed to be. And when we go with the way of the world, I can almost tell you verbatim, we're going the wrong direction. What does it look like to say, Jesus, stand in the gap? Stand in the gap between me and what it looks like to be healthy in a friendship. Me and what it looks like to be healthy as a boyfriend or girlfriend. Me and what it looks like to be healthy as a son or as a daughter, as a brother or as a sister. Where does Jesus need to stand in the gap? I'll finish with this. Maybe for you, you're looking and saying, Nate, the place that Jesus needs to stand in the gap for me tonight is my eternity. Because as you're talking about, if there's a Savior out there, somebody who's meant to stand in the gap between me and the perfect relationship with God that I was always meant to have, I don't have that. That's exactly where Jesus wants to be. He wants to be the person who stands in the gap for you. And he can do that right here, right now. Wherever he needs to stand in the gap, I pray right now that you would give him the opportunity. Give him the chance to show you that when he stands in the gap for you in whatever part of your life, hopefully all of your life and every part of your life, that at the end of the day, it is always better than it ever could have been. Let me pray, and we're going to stand and sing.
Thank you for listening. We hope you have a great week and that you are a light for Jesus. Grace and peace.